Now, as I start this video, it was hard for me to keep track until I started going back and looking at the old video. So at first it'll seem a little sporadic, but then it'll all go along, with each other a little more. Hello, my name is Zachary, and today I'm going to introduce you to a new theory I call time theory. In this theory, we will explain the entire of creation and evolution and how it's all connected to time, and how things as simple as divorce or human behavior or emotions are all connected to time, and they're all like one giant equation. Now, in this giant equation, you have to factor in time and evolution as one, okay, as time and evolution flow as one. Okay, so now during this theory, we're going to discuss each and everything like divorce or anger or greed, and we're going to bring them back to basic human emotions, to basic instinct control, to basic hormone flow in your body, to basic creation, to everything. Now, everything is the same and everything is different. Everything is different. Everything is both false. Everything is both fiction. We're also going to plug in time as an equation in everything in life. Okay, so like our understanding of words. We give words meaning by our understanding of them. The course of time has taken its toll under our understanding of words. And by plugging that into the equation, we will have a different understanding of the way to use words. It's more of a tool of learning, and we give them too much meaning, and it is limiting our understanding. Now, I have a theory about releasing hormones from the body, and that our hormones are not properly being released in the body. And there is a way to release those hormones in the body regularly. And by doing this, it has helped me get all of my impulse control back. People used to think I was an alcoholic and I would drink every day, but that was not true. It was because I could not control my impulse control. Like when I would start eating, I couldn't stop. Or when I would start drinking, I would just go, go, go. Or I could never sleep because I could never stop talking to myself so loudly in my head because I just wanted to go, go, go. Now, through this process of releasing these hormones, we can explain human behavior. We can find the root and think of things as more cause and effect of everything. That is another part of the equation we have to put into it. Also, something important is to remember in this theory, everything is the same and everything is different. Everything is fact, everything is fiction. Everything is right, everything is wrong. Every single person is right, every single person is wrong. By the process of learning, by talking, then we self-reflect. And then by the process of talking to ourselves is actually more tools of learning. Every time we talk, we're actually learning. And we don't know how our words affect people until they hear them. So that's something to think about. And then when you talk to yourself about the conversation, then that's when you can reflect on it and learn to grow and fix those basic human emotions. And all these things we think are different problems, racism, sexism, all these different things, we're going to explain how they're all the same thing. Come down to basic impulse control, basic human emotions, basic overflow of hormones that could possibly potentially be fixed. Also, we're going to talk about training the body and the brain and how it could potentially be possible to unlock new portions of the brain. We keep thinking of the body and mind separate, or this wall and me separate, or the whole world separate. And really, they're all one. They're all the same. I believe the body could possibly be trained like the mind. And we think of headaches. A physical response in the head is something bad. It's either automatically bad or good. But that's not true. Everything is both bad and good. Bad and good. What if we think of that physical response as a way to train the brain, like the body? When we draw a physical response, we tear it down, we build it back up. Okay? Now, also, fact and fiction. That's another thing. We gave those words meaning, and a long time ago, over the course of time, it has played its role. Just like money, over the course of time, it has played its role. Everything in the universe is ever changing. That is a constant. The only thing unconstant in evolution is human behavior, and that can be explained, and can fix a lot of problems. But we'll get to that. Also, there's a lot of people that have like string theory and this theory and that theory, and I don't claim to know anything about any of them. Just heard some of the terminology. This is my time theory, but okay, so there's all these different theories, time or string theory, this theory and that theory, and I don't know a single bit about it. It's not what I'm claiming to know. But under this theory, time and creation and evolution flow as one. Now, how they flow, I don't know. Do they flow in a straight line? Do they flow in a circle? That I don't know. That is to come. We will see. All right, next step, we're going to take random different problems, and we're going to plug them all the way back down to those basic things we just talked about hormone release, about impulse control, and bring that back to your basic human behavior, back to your hormones flowing in your body, back to creation, back to all of the universe. Now remember what I said. Everything is the same, everything is different, everything is true and false, etc., etc. Say you take divorce and you take addiction, and we call those two separate problems. But you remember Sling Blade? Did you put gas in it? Everything is complicated and everything is simple. Everything is right and everything is wrong. Now, instead of considering these two different problems, let's consider them one problem. Human behavior, the only unconstant in the universe. Human behavior. Animal behavior is constant, but nothing's constant because it's an ever-changing equation with ever-changing variables. So we can never know nothing for fact because everything is ever-changing. Now that is a constant. All right, there we go. Okay, so back to divorce and you see that mind right there? Boom, that's a physical response. I feel it. I can put it in there. I can take it away by the proper thinking process. Oh, that's beautiful. Also, I used to have crazy anxiety and didn't even know it. I was too stubborn to even admit I had a problem. Every time I drove somewhere, I'd be afraid to go to the store. I'd be in a hurry to get back as quick as I can because I was scared someone was going to rob me. I just learned how to drive a few years ago, like 27, and I hate driving. Now it's no problem. Drive anywhere I want. Fix my anxiety. We keep thinking of all these different health issues and different issues. But everything is simple and everything is complicated. What if they boil back down to basic freaking testosterone and basic hormones? It very well could potentially be the problem and the cause, solution, and that is because everything is the same. Now let's go back to divorce and racism and see how they're not different. Because it's just basic human behavior allowing those emotions to come up. Well, I found by releasing that extra testosterone, I have complete and all emotional control. I can choose when to be happy and choose when to be sad. I can separate emotion from words and actually see them for what they truly are, a tool of learning with no meaning. Now, that's important to remember as we go on through this story. Now, let's talk about how racism and divorce are exactly the same, or not exactly the same thing. They're both the same and different. They're both. Okay? Racism is hate clinging onto a cause. Just like sexism or any form of hate. Terrorism, that is just hate clinging onto a cause. Hate comes back to your basic human emotions. Your basic human emotions could come down to an overflow of testosterone or estrogen or whatever it is. I don't know because our words don't mean anything. That's just the way we describe things. Whatever that release process is that is happening that allows you to have more control over that impulse control, have more control over that emotional control, can fix a lot of problems. And there's a lot more, but I'm not going to get into the social and economical side of it yet. We're not ready for that. But when you bring, now, if you pay attention to what we were talking about earlier, when you bring that hate, that one completely random thing, back to its original cause, remember, cause and effect and time are all part of the equation. You can bring it all back down to the same spot, and it all connects. All of creation all connects, and time, it flows together as one. Okay, now let's talk about some of the effects of time and what it has done over the course of human history. Or us, because we are the ones with conscious minds, and we're basically tricking ourselves into thinking once we decide something is right, it's right, and there's no other way. And we all do it, we've all done it, we all constantly do it every day. The way we look at the human body, the way we look at learning, the way we look at politics, the way we look at everything has been affected by the course of time. It is a constant in this equation. Let's take gravity, Murphy's Law, for instance. Our hubris allows us to call that a law and accept that that's what it is. But one small part of that equation, that ever-changing equation, can change our entire understanding. The word gravity is nothing more than a description because words don't have meaning. They are a form of learning. So that is just one of many ways the course of time affects evolution and everything. Now, let's consider our own personal behavior in evolution, the way we've built and destroyed and etc. What if we are possibly hindering evolution instead of adding to it, which is maybe supposed to be what we're doing? You know, all of evolution and time are growing, and it seems like we're going in the opposite direction. Now, let's get back to thinking as everything is one and all is connected. Now, okay, let's look at the human body and disease and figure out how, as I said before, everything is one and everything is connected. Everything is the same and everything is different. Really, everything is the same. We got, let's see, paranoid schizophrenics, bipolar, ADD, ODHD, whatever behavior you want to call it. And we call these all forms of different human behavior, etc., etc. But what if they're simply as simple and complicated? What if they're as simple as basic hormone and testosterone flow? What if they're basically just people having too much of that built up in their body and it's not being released properly? There are so many possibilities we're not looking into that. Unlocking the potential of the brain And we never even once considered the fact that maybe the brain, the body, and the internal organs could possibly be trained and evolved, which they can. Maybe. That's both right and wrong. Both. Everything. Everything is the same. Now, as you notice, as I bring each and everything back, we can bring it back to the same exact thing and connect it. Human behavior, testosterone, hormone flow, things that come into nature. And I haven't even begun to add the universe into it because I don't have a well enough understanding of the universe because I didn't, go to school as much as other people. But there are plenty of people out there that do have a much better understanding of the universe. And if we start thinking about these things, oh man, it's glorious. And, we can correct our own behavior, correct others' behavior by correcting our own behavior, by being able to recognize the things we're doing. Like we all say, don't bully, okay? But every day on Facebook, we get online and make fun of people's spelling and this and that. And that is, again, basic human behavior, back to overflow of hormones, back to lack of impulse control, back to the universe, back over the course of time of what we consider socially acceptable. You add all these things into the equation, and now you know the cause and the solution, the problem and the fix. It is all the same. There's no difference in any other word. This table, there's no difference. The difference is what meaning we give them. Now, by talking to myself about this ever-learning equation, I'm learning more and more. The more I talk to myself, the more I can think from others' perspective or from my own perspective or just bounce ideas off myself. Actually, that is a huge tool in learning. So the more Alright, so I'm going to try to stay on the human body here and show how these are all potentially not the same diseases. These are all potentially just something we're doing, cause and effect. A lot of these same supposable diseases have the same exact symptoms. And a lot of them you can actually possibly cure by simply finding the right way to release the overflow of hormones. But we think of them all separate issues, separate complicated issues, but they aren't. They are both complicated and simple. The solution may be as elegant and simple as as complicated as the problem is. There's a bunch more of them I can go into, but I don't want to get too much into that. Now, I want you to try something. I want you to try plugging all these different things, the course of time, human history, the fact that everything is connected into one same thing. And then think about it. Talk to yourself about it, learn about it more, and see what kind of conclusions you come to. Also, based off this theory, everything flows as one as part of the equation. Time, evolution, and okay. In this theory, all three, flow is one. Time, Also, in this theory, time, evolution, and creation all flow as one. Whether it's in strings or loops or different dimensions, I don't know. We can even use this to solve things like basic learning how to get over stage fright. And just everything. You can actually put all of that into this equation and bring it all back to the same thing and learn how to do those things by this basic equation. But it's not basic, it's also complicated. It's both. That's the key of anything. Start thinking of everything as both. That's important, really, to think of everything as both right and wrong, both true and false. It's important to follow, at least to go off this theory. Or maybe it's not important. That's both true and false. Also, nothing can possibly be defined because our understanding of things are constantly changing. By telling ourselves that we have defined something and moving on, we are limiting our thinking because the definition is ever changing. Just like time, creation, cause, and effect. Those are all variables. And evolution. Those are all variables of this. Okay, so I started writing stuff down so we can start adding these things to the equation. So everything we think about, you put these things into that equation. Whether it be people science, anything. Everything is the same. Time, evolution, creation, cause, effect, definition. Because there is no such thing as a definition. These things are ever-changing. So we have to think of the ever-changing things in everything. And that way, we can define them. And not define them because you can never define it. Oh, what's the right word? Shit. Sorry, not begin to define them because, as I said, there's no such thing. Begin to understand them and grow. Just like evolution grows, just like time grows, and become a part of that flow. Now, I don't want any religious people to think that I don't believe in God and this and that. I'm not saying God and evolution are separate. Evolution and the world and creation growing together could have been a part of God's plan. And helping along with that plan could be our purpose. I'm not saying either way. Just saying, don't think I'm insulting your religion. I'm not. Okay. So key variables to remember and everything you know when you're plugging this in. I've been writing them down. Time, evolution, creation, cause, and effect. You have to understand everything you think about to plug those into that equation. Or you don't, because that is both right or wrong. That is another thing. Everything is both. Nothing is right, nothing is wrong, everything is both. That is an important part of that equation. By defining things, we refuse to believe everything is both, and it is limiting our thinking. That will help in the process of figuring this stuff out. Also, another thing that things aren't the same thing. People's actions and medicine aren't different things. People and other things aren't different things. They're all the same. They're all cause and effect. They're all time. They're all creation. They're all evolution. When you plug these things all into those equations, they will all come back to the same cause and effect. It is key in remembering that. Or not remembering it, just it's key in using it. Alright, also, if you take these things, these equations, and you plug them into our existing knowledge, like, I should do this to dip in. Now, if you take these things in with our existing knowledge, like medicine, stuff like that, remember, what we know is not wrong. It's just not right. It's just a small part of a much larger equation. Then you add in cause and effect, time, and that everything is both good and bad for the body, for the mind, for creation. And you can do a lot with that definition, with all of those tools. And remember, our words are a tool of learning, and everything is a tool of learning. It's important. I don't know, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Also, every single person in humanity and nature already knows this. The key to learning it is ask yourself the right question. You ask yourself the right question, and then you have to talk about it. It's part of the process. To yourself is actually what I find the most, what does the most for me is to talk to myself in my head. By knowing that process, okay, so the key to learning it is to ask yourself the right question. Once you ask yourself the right question, you can start talking. Once you start talking, you can start learning about it. The more you talk about that one single problem, and the more you plug things into that equation, the more you'll find the cause and effect. The yin and the yang, the way it flows, so to speak. Just like the universe. And time flows with it, and change, and all of it. It all flows as one, because everything is the same. Also, as you see, I am learning things and writing them down as I'm going through these videos by talking. It helps. Now, once we learn the yin and the yang and the flow of everything, or that everything flows. Now, talking about flow and all that, let's talk about the human body and training the mind. Now, when we consider the training the mind, let's consider everything. Everything is one. You consider rhythm and motion and moving your body. I find that when I talk and when I'm learning, moving my body helps me talk and learn faster. And the faster I talk and learn, the faster I can accelerate that, and the faster I can bring out that physical response. Now, again, we could potentially train that, like the body. We don't really know. That is both right and wrong. But that does bring us back to flow, which brings us back to the universe and to time and to everything flowing as one, and to everything being the same and to everything being connected. It's all connected. Now, at the beginning of this video, you'll notice I don't stay on track a lot. I have to keep stopping it and starting, and I do that to help for dexterity and other purposes. But as I'm going through this process and talking about it in repetition is another key to learning. The more you do something, the more you remember it. Repetition isn't just the key. Repetition is the key to learning and to remembering as well. You see how it was both right and wrong there? In a lot of these instances, you will see I'm both right and wrong. Because you can't be one or the other. It's just a label. And by giving that meaning, we're the ones who choose to give it meaning. Not the key. A piece of an ever-moving equation of the larger equation. That is just part of it because everything is the same. Or definition, as you would put it. Now, the point of this is about the basic theory. Now, this basic theory can be applied to economical, basically anything. Because everything is the same in this theory off of the basic same principle. That everything is created. Everything is the same because everything comes back down to cause and effect. Every cause has an effect, and by applying those to every equation, we could take political problems, medical, the human body, and connect it to each and every individual thing. Everything in the universe can be connected by simple cause and effect, time, evolution, everything being both. Everything is the same, and that's how you connect all the dots, so to speak. I don't know how to put the rest of it down yet. How to get it all out yet, or put it in presentation form to the best of its ability. But hopefully I get some people to take about this seriously, and maybe they can come up with a better solution than I can. Because we all have the problem and the solution, because they're the same thing. The problem is the solution. The solution is the problem. And then add cause and effect and time and all that into that. So I guess the real theory is that everything is the same and everything flows as one. Time, evolution, creation, they're all the same, not different, and they're all part of one flow, so to speak. or one string or one loop, all the different ways we think of the universe and string theory, etc., etc. Also, remember, everything is both complicated and simple. Everything is both. The answer, the problem, the solution is both complicated and simple. It's both cause and effect. It's both the time of flow. It's both. Everything is the same. It's connected. Also remember, everything is ever-changing, including the conclusion. So the conclusion is ever-changing. So the more time goes on and the more you think about it, the more it changes. Also be careful. Once you figure out how to give yourself a headache, so to speak, or take it away, you can't take it away instantly. It needs time to heal. The more you think and continue to learn, the worse you can make that physical response. But you don't want to push it so far that something breaks. Another important thing to everything will be balance. Balance will play a role. It will. So we add time into the equation of conclusion. The conclusion's ever-changing, and with time, it will continue to change. Because the more we learn, the more our conclusion will change. Every single time we learn or think about something, we can change our conclusion of it. There actually is no such thing as a conclusion.